I have two things. One on the West Bank and Riverfront Park.
All right, council members, coming back out of recess. We're gonna go to page 25. At the top of page 25, item 8, we have legislative group and zoning docket 4126, city council motion M2672, requesting a zoning change from an SRS single-family residential district to any zoning designating designation that encourages commercial use and is compatible with the NC neighborhood commercial future land use map designation of the subject area, including but not limited to the SB1 suburban business district, SB2 pedestrian-oriented corridor business district, and C1 general commercial district located on all lots and right-of-ways of currently zoned SRS single-family residential district in the 5th Municipal District bounded by Berman Place, Holiday Drive, General de Gaulle Drive, the Elgis Canal, and the former Breaktail Golf Course. The recommendation of the CPC being for approval to an SUM suburban neighborhood mixed-use district. We have motion M26-262 by Councilman King, approving the applicant's request for zoning docket 4126.
Thank you, Mr. Crowe. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, council member. This affects a parcel between Berman Highway and General de Gaulle and adjacent to Brecktail Golf Course. It has a residential zoning that it has had for decades, but during that time the neighborhood has sort of grown up and developed commercially around it. And indeed, it's been given a commercial designation under the master plan, and so the residential zoning is really out of step with what the master plan calls for. This motion proposes a mixed-use zoning that we consider one of a number of mixed-use zoning districts, and the City Planning Commission recommends the SMU district. This site is adjacent to commercial use, which, that would be recognized in the fact that the zoning district allows commercial uses, but also allows residential uses, which may be well suited due to the adjacency to the park. And so, given all those considerations, the CPC recommends approval. There was no public comment that we received. So this is before you with an approval recommendation.
Thank you. We have a comment card from Mr. Gary Crockett. Is Mr. Crockett here? No, Mr. Crockett opposes this. This group of lots between Rouse's and Brecktail Park have gone undeveloped for decades. Last year, we amended the future land use map designation of these properties to allow for commercial development. And in February, we directed CPC to consider updating this area zoning to a district that would align with the newly implemented FLUM. Accordingly, this motion would approve a zoning change to C1 General Commercial District. With this, I move adoption. Second by Councilmember Harris. All in favor? We have 5 ayes. Any opposition? No opposition. Thank you. Good.
On page 26, we have item 11, legislative group and zoning docket 4826, city council motion M26105, requesting a text amendment to the comprehensive zoning ordinance to define park concession facilities as an accessory use or structure located within a public or quasi-public park that is operated by or under contractual agreement with a public entity or quasi-public entity that owns or manages the park. Prescribe on-site development standards for the park concession facilities as described within the motion. The recommendation of the CPC being for approval. We have motion M26263 by Councilmember King, approving the applicant's request for zoning docket 4826. We also have ordinance calendar 35,455 by Councilmember King. An ordinance to amend and reordain section 110 through 188 of the Code of the City of New Orleans to permit the use of mobile vending permits within the boundaries of the Gold Ring, Waldenburg, Riverfront Park, and in accordance with any governing leases and otherwise to provide respects thereto.
All right, Mr. Crowe.
Thank you, Council Member. This is a piece of legislation that would affect the Riverfront Park and also other parks that are within the OSR district or the VCP district.
First read. Yep.
It's really intended to allow the large regional parks that attract people from across the city to offer concession and food service in addition to kind of the normal park operations. It really continues on existing precedent. Currently, these parks are allowed to have restaurants and other supporting commercial amenities, and this really is an extension of that by allowing food service through a concession stand. The Planning Commission finds this to be appropriate and recommends approval.
All right, any comments from the dais? Make a motion to adopt. Second by Councilmember Harris. All in favor? Aye. 6 yeas. Any no? Any opposition? No opposition. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
We have to vote on ordinance calendar 35,455.
Make a motion to adopt. Second by Council President Morrell. Any, all in favor? 6 yeas. Any opposition? None. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Item 13, zoning docket 4926 has been deferred to the meeting of 7/9. We're gonna go back to consent agenda, item 31. We need the vote to reconsider the vote on ordinance calendar 35,457 in its own, not the complete consent agenda.
I'll move to reconsider item 31.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember King. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Ashley, what is this?
This is a by request ordinance. We've received a request from the administration to reconsider it so that they may submit an amendment to correct part of the ordinance. So I believe that the clerk has the amendment.
Yes. We have an amendment to ordinance calendar 35,457, an amendment to modify the 2026 capital budget to reflect the correct project name. We need the vote to receive.
I'll move to receive. Seconded by Councilmember McCarron. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We need the vote to add.
I'll move to add. Councilmember King seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
We can vote on the ordinance.
I'll move.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember King. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
And we can vote on as amended.
Move to vote on it as amended. Seconded by Councilmember McCarron. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
We're gonna go back to the regular agenda. Item 2, motion M26-255 by Councilmember Harris.
All right, we heard public comment and comment from the dais earlier today, so if there's no other comment, I will go ahead.
I'd like to make some additional comments.
Okay, Councilmember Morrell.
Thank you. I want to comment on, I know today has been an unusual day and the timing of the final vote on this item was a bit disconcerting. I kind of want to explain what happened. Council Vice President Willard and I were approached by many council members separately who had concerns. Obviously, part of the consideration of this project was the economic development. As you heard today, you heard a lot of people talking about economic development. And there were a lot of concerns that the initial stake for the city in economic development was the pilot that was under consideration. Councilman Willard and I were not convinced that the city was getting the best pilot it could get. The original pilot did not protect the school board, did not have specific language about disadvantaged businesses, did not guarantee any job metrics, and did not include a clear clawback provision to give the city the ability that if these measures aren't met, that there would be some ability for the city to do anything about it. And so from our perspective, we wanted to make sure that if we were going to be in what was perceived to be a partnership, it was an equal partnership. And though we certainly want and expect there to be an element of trust, what you saw today and why we're doing this vote after that pilot was put in a better context is because this is a situation where, based upon what had been happening, it was not just trust, it was trust but verify. And only after the pilot is in a posture where we feel like as a city, we are being treated as a partner, did we feel like this was the appropriate time to have that vote? So I just wanted to explain, generally speaking, the timing of the two things are not really related, but when you look at the overall different instances in which the city will interact with this project, we all have to start on an appropriate equal foot. And what we saw today at the separate meeting was the city council taking that step forward to be on better equal footing. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Councilmember Hughes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me just say, I know it's been a long day, but first of all, I want to thank every single person that showed up today to speak, whether you were in favor or whether you had concerns. Democracy works best when people are able to express how they feel. One thing that we can agree on is that no matter what side of this issue you were on or are on, we all love the city of New Orleans. I thank the many people, proponents and opponents, who have openly communicated with me over the past several weeks. Folks that were in favor of this development and folks that had concerns. And I can tell you, folks that had concerns, we took those concerns to heart. And I really want to sincerely thank the leadership of President J.P. Morrell and the leadership of Vice President Willard, who fought for working people to ensure that a good proposal became a much better proposal. I had a front row seat for many years in the legislature when President Morrell was there. I always fought for good jobs, but wanted to make sure that the people that were doing those jobs were being treated fairly, properly compensated. I had a front row seat for 6 years when I sat next to Vice President Willard on the House floor, who did the exact same thing. And I can tell you, behind the scenes, they didn't try to litigate things publicly. They never looked for credit. They just really wanted this to be the best thing possible for the city of New Orleans. And so while they're not seeking credit, I want to give them their flowers because their actions is the epitome of leadership. So Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, I appreciate you all fighting for the citizens of this city. And now I think this is something that we can all be even more proud of for the future of our great city. Thank you.
Any other comments? Councilmember McCarron.
Thank you, Councilmember Harris. I also want to echo Councilmember Hughes' statements today. This has been a major process, and I want to really say thank you to Council President Morrell and Council Vice President Willard for bringing us through. I know that I pushed a bit at times to make this good for the people of New Orleans, and that was always at the forefront of you all's work on this. So I really appreciate everything that you guys did and your leadership on this. And I hope that this project truly brings benefits to our people, that this is truly an opportunity to grow our economy with better jobs and more city revenues to repair the things that residents want most. Thank you.
Any other comments? Councilmember King.
Well, thank you first to the men and women of Unite. Unite here, they made their points clear. Talking to their leadership, they gave me some things to think about, and I believe those things were heard loud and clear, but not by myself, but the entire council. And that language, like Councilmember Morrell stated earlier, is now in that pilot agreement. The members of other unions, AFL-CIO and carpenter unions and different unions, we also heard from them. And one thing that stuck out to me is the number of jobs it's going to provide, local jobs, short-term jobs, and long-term jobs. And that is very, very important to me. And that is why I'm going to support this project. Also, I want to say that we as a city have to continue to balance moving forward and being competitive with other cities in this region. We always hear about we're competing with Nashville and Miami and different, Houston and other cities, Austin, and sometimes it takes difficult decisions to continue to be on the same playing field with those other cities. But those decisions aren't made lightly, and they aren't made without you all in the audience giving us some feedback and different things to think about. So although we all may not agree on the outcome, I really want to say thank you for your input throughout this entire process. It made me think of some new things, and I think it made this project more beneficial for everyone involved, from the person getting that job, that unskilled labor job that they wouldn't have gotten, to the person with the larger contract. I think everyone's going to benefit from this project, and just want to thank everybody involved. Appreciate it.
Councilmember Willard?
First, I want to thank my colleagues. There's been a lot said about this Omni Hotel development, and what I will say is that for the city of New Orleans to reach its pinnacle, for us to truly get in a position where we can thrive as a community, it's going to take development, and it's going to take investments. As leaders, we are often faced with difficult decisions, but leaders are supposed to rise to the occasion and work with all stakeholders to make sure the best deal is being put forward. So while this multi-hundred million dollar development, in my opinion, is certainly something that the city needs, as we talk about one of the economic drivers in the city of New Orleans being that hospitality industry, from our vantage point, we also have to protect the engine. And to me, the engine is going to include the residents of the city of New Orleans. It's going to include the workforce in the city of New Orleans. It's going to include our small businesses, our entrepreneurs. And so when Council President Morell and I jumped in to work on this deal, it was to make sure that we were striking something that was fair, something that would be a win-win. And I think we've done that. I think that this project will be a catalyst for the city of New Orleans. I also believe that it will spur further economic development and other developments in the city of New Orleans. And that's how we grow. That's how we rebuild our population. But I want to put out on the record that, everything we've been talking about for the last few days is really in the convention center's footprint. We have opportunities all across the city of New Orleans. And as my brother, Councilmember Jason Hughes, always brings up, we can't forget portions of our city toward the east, New Orleans East, the 9th Ward. We want to be open for business. And I'm hoping that the work that we put in to get us to this point today will send a message to people that the city of New Orleans does want you to set up operations here and grow here, but we also want you to be a good partner, and we want you to take care of our people. And I believe that there's a balance and a way to make that happen in every deal. So I want to thank everybody who played a role in this. Thank you.
Councilmember Green.
I also want to thank everyone who played a role. I want to recognize those who are on the convention center's side, the board, the staff, for the work that they've done thus far. I want to commend us in some respects as a city council, because we're doing more than the state. We're moving ahead of the state in terms of some negotiations. First off, I'm assuming where the vote is going to go, that we will move favorably, or we will move on it at least. But I encourage the state to also get their concerns in. But to everyone associated with this, I think that we certainly recognize the magnitude of this project, the impact that it's going to have. There's a lot that's going on behind the scenes, a lot of meetings that we won't see. And I do want to mention the name of my colleague, prominently Councilmember Leslie Harris and her staff, because there have been meetings that have been going on for years involving this project. I want to commend our council members who just got involved, the leaders to making, not just got involved, but who have been involved and want to make sure that things happened a certain way. But there's a lot of commendations to go around, and including to our union officials. But I do want to applaud the city for taking the time to move forward on such an important issue as this. And in some respects, I want to say, state, where are you and what are you going to do? But very honestly, thank you, Councilmember Harris and your staff, for what you've done.
Thank you, Councilmember Green. Let me close with this. We've been working on this, as I said, at the other EDD meeting for 4.5 years, not only the hotel, but the River District development. I want to thank Allison Port on my team, Dominique Lang Jackson, before that, Liz Holman, who worked on the documents to get this project moving forward. I also want to thank my council colleagues, my new council colleagues, for their thoughtful input on the pilot going forward. More than anything, I want to commend the folks who showed up today, who showed up at 10 o'clock this morning and even earlier, who are still holding it down. Unite Here, the trade unions, AFL-CIO, people in the business community, the convention center, small business owners who have taken the time out of their day to be on this journey with us. This is for you. This is economic development for you. This is $500 million invested in the city of New Orleans. This is 500 permanent jobs. This is at least 3 years of construction jobs, local construction jobs in the city of New Orleans. This is a model of what economic development should be and can be going forward, only if we work in partnership. I also want to give a shout out to our mayor. I know she was working behind the scenes as well. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you to the administration. And with that, I will move. Can I get a second? Second. Seconded by Council President Morrell. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Thank you.
That's 7-no.
Can we,
7-0.
Sorry, I tried to say 7-0, speaking a little too quickly.
can we get a move to go to ordinance on first read?
Seconded by Councilmember Green. All in favor? Any nays? Thank you.
Ordinance is on first read. Ordinance calendar number 35,472 by Councilmember McCarron. An ordinance to establish a conditional use to permit a commercial short-term rental in an SLM Lake Area Marina District and the Transient Lodging Interim Zoning District for Boathouse Number 84, whose dimensions are 25 feet fronting on Breakwater Drive and 25 feet fronting on the water and 80 feet in length from the street side boundary within the Municipal Yacht Harbor Marina of Lake Pontchartrain, municipal address 8112 Breakwater Drive, and otherwise provide with respect thereto, zoning docket number 2226. Ordinance calendar number 35,473 by Councilmember McCarron. An ordinance to establish a conditional use to permit a commercial short-term rental in an SLM Lake Area Marina District and the Transient Lodging Interim Zoning District for Boathouse Number 85, whose dimensions are 25 feet fronting on Breakwater Drive and 25 feet fronting on the water and 80 feet in length from the street side boundary within the Municipal Yacht Harbor Marina of Lake Pontchartrain, municipal address 8114 Breakwater Drive, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto, zoning docket number 2326. Ordinance calendar number 35,474 by Councilmember King. An ordinance to rescind ordinance number 26,276 MCS, zoning docket 12314, and grant a plan development which authorizes the expansion of an indoor amusement facility on Square 337, lots 3A and 3A1 in the second municipal district, bounded by North Broad Street, North Dergenwar Street, St. Peter Street, and Toulouse Street. Municipal addresses 636 through 650 North Broad Street, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto, zoning docket number 3926. Ordinance calendar number 35,475 by Councilmember Harris. An ordinance to affect the zoning change from an HURD2 Historic Urban Two-Family Residential District to an HUMU Historic Urban Mixed-Use District on Square 389, lots 12 and 13 in the 4th Municipal District, bounded by Jackson Avenue, South Claiborne Avenue, Josephine Street, and Willow Street. Municipal addresses 2819 through 2821 Jackson Avenue, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Zoning docket number 4426. Okay. Ordinance calendar number 35,476 by Councilmember Green. An ordinance to affect the zoning change from an SRS Suburban Single Family District to an OSN Neighborhood Open Space District on Square 3038, Lot 6, 8B, 9, and 10 in the 3rd Municipal District, bounded by Turo Street, Frenchman Street, Mandolin Street, and Pelopita Street. Municipal addresses 4235 through 4237 Turo Street, 2110 through 2116 Mandolin Street, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Zoning docket number 4526. Ordinance calendar number 35,477 by Council Members King and Harris by request. An ordinance to ordain and reestablish Chapter 70, Article 3, Division 56 of the Code of the City of New Orleans, consisting of Sections 70-415.350 through 70-415.354 for the purpose of creating the Crescent City Connection Bridge Lighting Fund to manage funding for decorative bridge lighting, to ordain and establish Chapter 146, Article 14 of the Code, consisting of Sections 146-786 through 146-793, to provide relative to the maintenance, operation, and purchase by third parties of decorative lighting on the Crescent City Connection, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance calendar number 35,478 by Councilmember Morrell by request. An ordinance to grant a non-exclusive wireless franchise to SQF LLC, DBA Verda, to construct, maintain, operate, and authorize new wireless facilities on and under the public rights-of-way within the corporate limits of the City of New Orleans, with locations subject to the approval of the grantor, to provide for annual payments and the furnishing of a security bond, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance calendar number 35,479 by Councilmember King by request. An ordinance authorizing the acquisition by the City of New Orleans City from the New Orleans Redevelopment Authority, NORA, of A, 900 Elm Avenue, designated as the front portions of lots 19 and 20 in Square 260 of the 5th Municipal District. B, 909 through 15 Homer Street, designated as the rear portions of lots 19 and 20 in Square 260 of the 5th Municipal District. C, 3617 3rd Street, designated as part of Lot 15 and Square 459 of the 4th Municipal District. D, 3621 3rd Street, designated as Lots B, C, E, and F in Square 459 of the 4th Municipal District. And E, 3623 3rd Street, designated as Lot G in Square 459 of the 4th Municipal District, collectively the NORA properties, authorizing the transfer of the land and improvements comprising 2021 Daniel Street, designated as Lot A1 in Square 293 of the 4th Municipal District, the city property, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance calendar number 35,480 by Councilmember McCarron by request. An ordinance to authorize the mayor of the City of New Orleans to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement between the City of New Orleans and the Sewerage and Water Board of New Orleans relative to the administration, planning, and construction of the Monticello Canal Culvert State Capital Outlay Project, as set forth more fully in the CEA form attached hereto as Exhibit 1, and made a part hereof, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance calendar number 35,481 by Councilmember King by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 30,530 MCS as amended, entitled an ordinance providing an operating budget of revenues for the City of New Orleans for the year 2026 to de-appropriate and transfer funds within the Chief Administrative Office, Office of the Mayor, and Department of Code Enforcement to reduce reliance on one-time revenues for recurring expenditures, maintain a balanced budget, and provide funding for a one-time priority project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance calendar number 35,482 by Councilmember King by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 30,531 MCS as amended, entitled An Ordinance Providing an Operating Budget of Expenditures for the City of New Orleans for the year 2026 to de-appropriate and transfer funds within the Chief Administrative Office, Office of the Mayor, and the Department of Code Enforcement to reduce reliance on one-time revenues for recurring expenditures, maintain a balanced budget, and provide funding for a one-time priority project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance calendar number 35,483 by Councilmember Morrell. An ordinance to require continued use of the city's current enterprise resource planning system, BRAS, by the Orleans Parish Clerk of Court, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance calendar number 35,484 by Council Members Harris, Morrell, Willard, McCarron, and King by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 30,530 MCS as amended, entitled An Ordinance Providing an Operating Budget of Revenues for the City of New Orleans for the year 2026 to appropriate housing bond funds to the Office of Housing and Community Development for fiscal year 24 and fiscal year 25 projects, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance calendar number 35,045 by Council Members Harris, Morrell, Willard, McCarron, and King by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 30,531 MCS as amended, entitled An Ordinance Providing an Operating Budget of Expenditures for the City of New Orleans for the year 2026 to appropriate housing bond funds to the Office of Housing and Community Development for fiscal year 24 and fiscal year 25 projects, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance calendar number 35,486 by Councilmember Morrell by request. An ordinance to amend and reordain section 70-565 of the Code of the City of New Orleans to clarify the intended scope of the ordinance, to provide for exceptions consistent with court orders and judgments, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance calendar number 35,487 by Councilmember Harris by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 30,530 MCS as amended, entitled An Ordinance Providing an Operating Budget of Revenues for the City of New Orleans for the year 2026 to appropriate funds to the Health Department for the United Way Rapid Rehousing Program to support emergency transitional housing for the homeless individuals and reduce street homelessness, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance calendar number 35,488 by Councilmember Harris by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 30,531 MCS as amended, entitled An Ordinance Providing an Operating Budget of Expenditures for the City of New Orleans for the year 2026 to appropriate funds to the Health Department for the United Way Rapid Rehousing Program to support emergency transitional housing for the homeless individuals and reduce street homelessness, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance calendar number 35,489 by Council Members Morrell and Willard. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the City of New Orleans to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement between the City of New Orleans and the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office, Civil Division, for a term greater than 1 year to provide executive protection services to the New Orleans City Council, as more fully detailed in the cooperative endeavor agreement attached hereto as Exhibit A, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance calendar number 35,490 by Councilmember Harris. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 30,531 MCS as amended, entitled An Ordinance Providing an Operating Budget of Expenditures for the City of New Orleans for the year 2026 to appropriate funds to the City Council to continue the sewage and water board billing dispute program, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. That concludes the ordinances on first reading.
Can we get a motion to adjourn?
I'll move. Any opposed? Hearing none, we're adjourned.